Eliminate toxic cleaners. Protect your facility in one day. Ask us how. Schools are not meant to be empty. Cleaning and maintenance is expensive. What if a solution existed that could eliminate the use of caustic cleaners?
So TiCoat kind of came to me, I think it's been almost 2 years really, that Todd and I started talking about TiCoat, how we could utilize something like TiCoat from like athletics and sports and keeping our equipment clean to our locker rooms, our bathrooms, just the whole building in general.
What attracted your school to TiCoat?
So when you're looking at putting products into a school building, you have to make sure that they are safe for staff and for students.
How much time was needed to apply TiCoat in your school?
Been working as one big team here with a lot of people in the building, but it's getting done super fast.
What concerns did your staff have about using TiCoat?
The amount of time that it takes to apply these chemicals, the idea of products that could be applied and then need to be reapplied on a regular basis to maintain their effectiveness.
What kind of maintenance do you expect to have after application?
Well, and I think, even just watching the demonstrations today and the learning curve, it's a really easy process for application.
What impact will TiCoat have on your custodians?
Custodians, they had very similar concerns to our teachers, right? Is it a safe product? What is this that we're putting onto the building? What's the impact that it's going to have? And when you tell them that you can use a soft cloth and water to do the cleaning, that has a huge impact because they are closest to those toxic things, right?
Rooms where you might wear the coating off over time, they would just go in if any odors start to creep back in. I'm happy to report we're close to a year now. None have. We expect the product to last many years in the school. On the vertical surfaces, you're really not going to have to do anything to maintain or support the product going forward. It's a two-step process. These are the door cards that we put on every room in the school. We left the care instructions behind with a bottle of water for the teachers. And then they use a microfiber cloth and water to do general cleaning in all the rooms. We treated the desks, chairs, walls, locker rooms. Everything in the school was treated from top to bottom in both the elementary and the middle schools. And with that, Patty, if you could take a moment here, I have a few questions for you. I know when we first started this, there were some concerns with the staff, particularly with the nurses station. What were the concerns that were voiced from your team, and what were the things that made them feel comfortable after the installation was complete? I think things have changed a little bit.
Right. I think that so just so to be clear, we didn't practice these ahead of time. I didn't know you were asking. I can answer them. So when we first brought it on, one of the things that I thought about saying when I got on here today was the fact that we did a lot of prep work. I did share the information with the board. I shared Todd had come in and shared information with the teachers about the product and about the safety of the product. So I think that just generally speaking, even a little bit more than what he shared today is what he would share. And even things like that, you have that whatever the chemical is that's in your toothpaste and powdered donuts, that some of the chemical that or the product that they use is stuff that we're consuming already anyway. So I think that helped so the concern was, what is this? What is it on the surface? Is it going to be harmful? And so we just did answer the questions ahead of time. We gave them a chance to ask any questions. And sometimes the staff are not going to ask this visitor the questions, but they certainly will ask me or some of the other staff in the district. So I think it was mostly around safety. Are they going to be breathing this? What's the smell? Is there going to be a smell left over? Because I'm sensitive to smells. And not only was the answer, there's going to be no smell from the application, but the smell in the school was tremendously better, like literally fresh air in the building. So those were some of the concerns and how we addressed some of them before even applying.
Thank you, Patty. And then some of the questions that we've been getting is the ESSER funds, the approval process. I mean, we went through Green Seal certification so that we were capable of applying, and then also training your staff on applying it. But what was the process for the ESSER funds? I mean, it seemed like it was pretty simple for you to apply and obtain what you need to cover the cost.
As far as the ESSER application in Connecticut, we all use the same e-grants management system to make the request. So I just put it in as a product to help maintain the cleanliness of our buildings. And that's really where the purpose of the ESSER funds is, to help us, recover learning loss, but also to help maintain our buildings to be clean. And it absolutely has done that. And then some. It's done more than we anticipated. And I was as skeptical as anybody, like, really, this sounds too good to be true. But in the end, we're very, very pleased with the product, the company. A year later, we're still very happy. I'll jump into your next question, Todd, unless you want to.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So,
saving money on cleaning supplies, that was a unanticipated consequence. Once I realized what was happening, what we were getting, my first budget season, I reduced my expenditures for cleaning supplies by 25 to 30%. And it's really more than just the money. It is the fact that we're not putting that stuff, the other chemicals on the surfaces, because we all know if it's not clean, they're going to spray this stuff on, they're going to use more of it to hopefully clean it better, and then not properly wipe it off. And so, when we're talking about the cafeteria and we put chemicals down to clean the surface, and if they're not going through and washing it a second time with clean water, then there's chemicals left on that table. And so, for me, I always think about this is, if it was my child, if my child was eating on that table, would I be satisfied? And I'm very pleased to say I'm proud to have the students in Brooklyn eating on our cafeteria tables, because I know they're clean, and I know there aren't foreign chemicals on that table that someone cleaned. Cleaned with. And even classroom teachers, we all know that we tell them you have to have green products in the school, and I could easily quickly find other products in people's classrooms. But now there's a sense that we don't have to do that. You don't have to bring your bleach wipes in. Bleach wipes are not allowed in Connecticut. The Clorox wipes are not allowed, and because they're not green. And so but we knew they were being used anyways, and we just know they weren't being used properly. And so there is a risk. And, when you think about all the sensitivities out there that people have, that could be adding to it. So.
Yeah, Patty, I think before we dive into the next question, it was even an eye opener for my team, right? Because as I start reading the labels of these products, green, as we went through the Green Seal certification process, 90% of it was about recyclability of the product. It really had nothing to do with the chemistries that were in there, other than diluted form, taking peroxides and diluting it to the point where it does absolutely nothing. It's just a water-based product. But then you read it deeper and you see things like spray it on a surface, let it sit for 10 minutes, then you're supposed to follow it with water. And you watch how people do it, where they spray and wipe, and they're not really using it properly, right? They're not letting it sit long enough. But then you see, at the beginning of the pandemic, we saw people going back to their classrooms, and the teachers, everybody was terrified, right? So we were cleaning and doing crazy things that kids were eating off of those surfaces. And when you leave the material and the residuals behind, that stuff transfers to us. As our food touches the surface, our hands touch it, that gets, pulled into our skin and all kinds of things. So I'm a germaphobe now, and I wasn't before I started the company and got us up and running. And I was just at a local restaurant the other night, and I had a girl come out with a bottle that was with no label on it, and she sprayed the table and she wiped, and I could see there was some residual on there. And I asked her what it was, and the response I got was she didn't know. And I said, "Can you tell me? Go get me the bottle." It was ammonia mixed in water, and I said, "That's not even approved for use around food." So now I'm like thinking, I don't even put my phone on things. I mean, I've become sort of a germaphobe for chemicals since having been involved with our company. And then the other thing that we recently heard, I don't know if it was from you or from Heather, the principal at the school, but there was a kind of a state audit, or someone came in to evaluate the cleanliness of the school, and then there was a response there. And I was just curious if you were aware of that or heard of it.
So I've had a couple visitors, and I'm guessing, I'm trying to recall which one, but because I've actually had multiple people come in into the district for not to look at the TiCoat or for different reasons, but everyone says, oh, the building looks great. The building is so clean. The building is so clean. That is the response. And we all know how hard it is to keep the buildings clean, but so I assume that's part of what Heather was talking about. But I've had it from multiple people come in and say the building's clean. And so what does that mean? I think that means that when the TiCoat was applied, the building, we made sure it was clean, and then this surface coating was put on, and then it doesn't get dirty under that, and the coating stays, so it's not getting worn down and dirty. Literally, you look down you look down a long hallway, and you can see the sheen of the walls, which used to have, the smears of fingerprints, which is normal school stuff, but those walls are still shiny. It looks like they've been painted. Every time you go over there, it looks like it's just been painted. And so I think that's again another benefit. And yes, when we paint the walls, whatever year that's going to be, we'll have to reapply the TiCoat at that point. And so my facilities person has been trained. We can then apply it ourselves. But until we do that, I know that those surfaces are clean and they look good. And people from the outside, people that have gone into other schools, say, wow, this school looks clean. They're doing a nice job in here. And they are. I mean, it's easier to clean, and it's costing me less money.
Yeah, I think at one point we kind of calculated out the chemistries when we went into your back room there, and I think it was somewhere around 18,000 chemicals this year that you've eliminated from the school that I could kind of tally up. But it's amazing even to us to be involved with something as special as this, because most of these cleaners talk in seconds or minutes. We talk in years of operational use on a surface. And just having the ability to say that we're eliminating these, even the bar and restaurant industry, we've got bar owners that, we did a recent one down in Fairfield, Connecticut, where the bar owner had my favorite saying. He said, it's not what I smell, it's what I don't smell. And it was a dive bar for a college where the kids went in there and they're drinking beer and spilling it all over the place, and the urinals smelled terrible, and they've had no odors. And we're going post-operationally there. We did some testing in Universal Studios in Florida on an algae wall. I'm happy to report that's at month 18 with no algae regrowth on the wall. And they power wash. What happened was they had a wall with ferns where it was turning green every couple of days, and they go out there and power wash the wall. So we took and did the normal power washing, and then we treated 50% of the wall with our product, and just using sunlight and natural rainwater, that doesn't regrow on the surface. It can't stick to the surface. It just falls off. That's what TiCoat focuses on. We don't break down organic material like dirt. Dirt can still land on the surface, but what makes dirt stick to the surface is the organics. I'm sorry, the inorganics is the dirt, but organically, pollen, which is a sticky substance, that's what attaches it and makes it difficult to remove from the surface. We break that interface so that if you did the exterior of your building, it would be self-cleaning with rainwater. We're doing solar panel tests. We did look at Patty's school for the solar panels, but they're so tightly packed, we'd have to disassemble the whole thing. But we have done tests. It's hydrophilic. It does self-cleaning glass on exteriors of buildings. So we did primarily focus with Patty's school on the interior applications, but now we're testing it on flooring as a wax protectant or wax replacement. We're trying it in a few different areas in high wear zones to see how well if it can make the floor wax safer, less slippery, and last longer between the time that the crews have to go back in and re-wax the floors. So it's really been an eye-opener for us. And we're finding new uses for the products all the time. We have people that have been testing it as a floor cleaning, for carpet cleaning. with unbelievable results. In the automotive industry, spraying the interiors to get rid of the new plasticide smells, that new car smell, that's volatiles that are outgassing from the plasticides. Not good for you. I know we like the smell of that, but it's not good to breathe that stuff. And we apply it and it's instantly gone. It doesn't come back. We just finished a project, Patty, in Westchester County, New York. We had a painting crew with CertaPro painters where they had gone in and they did an oil-based paint and they resurfaced the floors. And the owner was living in an Airbnb because she was reacting to the volatiles, to the VOCs that were outgassing from these paints that they use for over a month. And she was literally in tears. 2 hours after we applied, all of the smells were gone. She said she bleached the house 10 times. She walked in the house and the first response that she said was, "Oh my God, I can smell my incense candle." She had incense candles all over the house. She said, "I tried all these online remedies, nothing worked." And now that's post application 3 months and there's no smells in her home. So she was able to move back in with her kids. So we talked a little bit about the treatment time. We were surprised by that. We had anticipated, I think, a week. You remember, Patty?
Yep.
About halfway through the day, I said, "Holy cow, we're going to do the whole school in 7 hours."
Yeah.
And it was like clockwork. I mean, we can come into your school with minimum disruption. We can put teams together anywhere in the United States. We've got a national program we're rolling out with CertaPro painters. We've got veteran programs. We try to tie into local veterans, disabled and able-bodied vets. I'm a big proponent of that. Patty was as well. We used a lot of veterans on her project. This is a perfect product for those kind of folks. I wouldn't encourage the schools to try to tackle doing the entire school with their staff. It's really best for us to come in and do the initial coating, then train your staff on the same day. We were working with Patty's staff and training them how to do maintenance of the surfaces, touch-ups, things like that. So they're trained and certified. They can buy the product, they can use it and do the general maintenance. And it does not eliminate your normal cleaning routines. I mean, you still need to get in there and wipe the bathroom floor with a mop and water, but it does eliminate the toxic cleaners in your schools. So you can just go to straight water. And if you need a sanitizing wipe, there's plenty of things that we've tested for quick acting that you could have the teachers, because some people just want to feel like they're doing something. It won't harm our surface at all. It's what TiCoat does between the time you wipe that surface and the next time you do it, because otherwise, every time you touch that surface, you're contaminating it with odors and things that, cause problems, right? And that's the difference. If I wipe a surface and I touch an untreated surface, nothing's happening until I wipe the surface, unless you have our product where we fill in those voids. So, Patty, is there anything else that you want to share with the group? I mean,
I do. The one thing that was, again, we didn't necessarily anticipate. Of course, we think of bathrooms because bathrooms sometimes have those lovely smells, but we did not think about the locker rooms. And that was such a huge change. So we all know that funky smell of a locker room. And they went through that locker room. By the time they left, all the people that were doing the coating, there was no smell there. And the PE teachers that came in on Monday morning said, "It smells like fresh air in here." And again, we still go in there and there's no funky locker room smell. And it's a smell that you just don't get rid of. It doesn't matter how much cleaner you put in your water and you wash the floors with. It's a smell that we had never gotten rid of. And I joke with other superintendents and say, "Come to my school, come smell," because I have nothing. I've got no smell, no locker room smell, no boys' room smell. It really is a much more pleasant environment without those smells. So the company has been great for us. They're local here. So I felt lucky to be able to have them come in. We've done some testing. They've been able to answer any questions that I've had. The vets were amazing when they came in. And I think that we are continuing. Like recently I had them come back. I said, "Can you try this? Can you try this?" And so like Todd said, we're testing a floor area to see, we may be able to save some money on wax and even the time. The biggest cost we all have is man hours. And I anticipate some reduced man hours as a result of this. So that there's layers of success here with this, and I feel like it's a well-kept secret, and I try to share it because I think it was important. And the ESSER funding was a great way to do it. It's a one-time expense, get it off the books, and then you're good to go for a long time. So that's it.
Yeah,
I'll
we
answer
really-
any questions. Anyone's welcome to come smell my school that wants to. So.
Well, the other thing we did too, and we still have to circle back on that, was the school buses. I think we treated a dozen or so of your school buses on the interior spaces. It was a rainy day that day. That's one thing we have to be careful of is, it's a water-based product. So when it goes on, it dries nearly instantly. So you apply it with this automotive style gun that we've developed for our installation teams with an air compressor. It's very easy to apply, and it goes on very, very fast. Like I said, we had anticipated a whole week in the school. Each school is roughly 100,000 square feet of flat footprint. We did both schools in 7 hours with a team of 70 people. Unbelievable. And what was really nice is we left behind, what we do is we do these little door cards for each of the classrooms and the rooms. And as the teams wander around the school, they know that they've got to do the prep, the pre-cleaning, the application of the base coat and the top coat, and they were rotating into those jobs throughout the day, getting experience as they were going. And when they were done, we had them sign a little card saying who did the finished work, and then put that on the teacher's desk. And that showed the teacher a little about the technology. We had a little video that explained what it was and how it worked, how to maintain their surfaces in the classrooms. And we're here to answer questions. So I'll open it up now, I think, Patty, at this point, to any questions that the team have. I know, Patty, I don't want to keep you too long. My team is here to stay as long as anyone has questions. If there's any questions or you want to test it on a bathroom, we can help you there. We do a lot of odor elimination tests. That's one of the areas where you can physically experience what it does. Smelly locker room, for example, is a good place to go. We've got a lot of anti-slip. We just finished a water park where they had slip and falls every week. It's been post-application 4 months, no slip and falls at all, where people were getting out of the pool area and running into the bathroom, and they would slip on the tile. It's hydrophilic, so what happens when water sits on top of our surface, it flattens the water out. And it makes it so that it doesn't feel like sandpaper, as Patty will tell you. You wipe the surface, it feels very, very smooth, but it has a very tight grip to your foot. I mean, I noticed when we did the wax test, Patty, that section that's in the middle that's coated with the wax and TiCoat on top, you can definitely, if you put a little water on there, you'll feel between the waxed area without the protective coating on top of the wax, that it's a lot more slippery. And so there's liability issues related to those kinds of things. There's, like you said, Patty, there's a lot of things that are ancillary to just what the product does that really are helpful, I think. Return on investment is very quick. So I see a few questions maybe popping up here. Let's cost of product per square foot. So it depends. What we do, if we're doing a big jurisdiction and we're going to go from school to school to school, it ranges anywhere from 60 cents a square foot to $1 a square foot. We typically say we reach to 8 feet, 9 feet in the air. We don't get on ladders. If we got to do higher exterior applications, that can impact the cost a little bit for application. But that's the typical range of application. And I will tell you that TiCoat as a company, we are dedicated to the education community. We will work with you within the ESSER funds budgets that you have available to you. Just get with one of our salespeople and we'll make sure that you get what you need. We can work within any budget you have. We can focus on, like Patty and I talked about originally, I think we were talking bathrooms and doors and high touch surfaces. And then I just said, you know what, Patty, let's work with your budget. Let's see if we can do both schools from top to bottom. I feel a lot better as a company having everything protected as opposed to, and the only thing we didn't do at that time was the floors.
Mhm.
The next question is, does it have to be applied yearly? The answer to that is no. This product is like a ceramic finish. Think of it, Patty and I talk about this and joke. I must have said at one point, it's like a Mercedes-Benz clear coat. And so she calls it the Mercedes-Benz of schools because of the treatment in the school. So I should use it in our marketing materials, but it's, you could take a key to a clear coat on a car and scratch it off. If you get on it with a Brillo pad and really abrasively remove it, you can remove the coating. And I'll give you an example we did with Southeastern Pennsylvania Transit Authority. They surprised us with a test where they have a silicone material that they put on tile in the subways and things like that for graffiti. And it's a self-sacrificing material. So if I spray paint on top of it, I just polish it off and then reapply so the paint can't stick to the tile underneath. Well, the vandals got the idea to use acid pens. So what they did is they put the silicone protective for the anti-graffiti, they put TiCoat on top, and then we took acid pens and I could etch my name into the acid, into the TiCoat, but we could ablatively remove it, abrasively remove it, and there was no damage to the tile underneath. And we're talking 120 nanometer thickness coating. It can be applied to fabrics. It's flexible. It's not like it's a rigid finish. So the lifespan of the product, let's see, how do you determine when the product needs to be applied?
Hey, Todd,
Sean.
want me to read these questions from the top for you?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so the next one would be any issues with overspray?
There is no issue with overspray. In fact, there's no prep work like painting. You don't have to mask off windows and door handles or anything. It's indiscriminate. You can cover everything with the product as you go. So that's what makes it apply so quickly. And when you apply it, it dries so quickly. It's like fogging a mirror. It dries almost instantly. And so you're moving constantly and you're in and out of a classroom. I think we were doing a classroom every 15 minutes with a 2-person team in the classrooms. It was very, very fast.
Next one is, does it prevent mold or mildew from forming on surfaces?
Yes, prevents those things from attaching and sticking to the surface. When we talk about mold, mildew, one of the things that we had at Patty's school was in the nurse's office. They had a leaky roof. They had tried several times to mitigate the mildew smell in that room. Happy to report we went in there, we sprayed down all the walls, we did the ceiling and everything in that room, and the odors were eliminated. I think to this day, Patty, that you're using that room, which you weren't before. You had already fixed the roof leaking issue, but you weren't able to handle that. So
Next one is, how much light is enough for treating, especially now that we're in a period of energy conservation?
good question. So yeah, the only thing that activates our coating is when an organic material comes in contact. We create naturally occurring peroxides at the surface when light, oxygen, and water in the organic are present, and it just degrades it. So for an example, if a bird drops on the coating, we break the interface, make it easy. You still got to do something mechanically with water to wipe that off. It's not going to immediately break that down, but the smaller the organic and the amount of light you throw at it are all directly proportional. So the peak performance is in sunlight, but it continues to do what it does with visible light with LED. And that's one of the things that's unique about TiCoat. Our competitors that are out there in the market don't tell the customers that, number one, it doesn't stick permanently to the surface. They talk about it in terms of 30 to 40, 90 days maximum functionality. Ours is years. And doesn't come off the surface, but we also work with LED light, and we are functional with as little light as moonlight. And one thing that we had at Patty's school was I got a call from, I don't know if it was from Heather or from you, Patty, when we had the summer school stuff going on, and I got a call that said, hey, one of the bathrooms is starting to smell again. So we went out I said, well, what bathroom is it? It was a staff bathroom that nobody had been turning the light on. So I said, do me a favor, turn the light on tonight, leave it on overnight. Let me come in the morning at 10 o'clock. By the time I got there, the odors were all eliminated, doing what it does. So yeah, the timers, if you get odors creeping back in, you might have to up your timers a little bit, just to give it a little bit of time to energize it. The only way I can describe the product in a visual form is, think of it like a glow-in-the-dark material where you take a flashlight, you charge up the surface. We use that energy within the crystals that are sitting on the surface. and it's photoreactive, and it's ready. So when those organics come and bombard it, it starts doing what it does, but it does lose energy. So the only way to replenish the energy is to give it more light. So there's nothing in the product. We've done fish bioassays. We had minnows swimming in the coating for a week. None died, no heavy metals. I mean, Patty will tell you, the state toxicology report was spot on. It was, this is inert. You can use it wherever you need to, and I see no issue. So hopefully that answers the question.
Next one is, how do you determine when the product needs to be reapplied?
So that's a very good question, and I kind of wish we had the plan that we have now for Patty's school, but we go back in and we do our evaluations. There's two ways. One is we have a new material, which is a UV pen that we can put on, for example, a door handle. Before the product is applied, we put a little dot on the door handle. It's an acrylic UV that you can barely see it on the surface. And the only time you see it is if you put a UV light, like a black light, purple light on it. And as the product wears off the surface and you see the UV disappear, that would be the time that you would reapply. The second way we do it is a retained sample, where we take a tile like this, we apply it with the same material that's applied in your school. We leave samples with you, and we have a blue dye that we can put on the surface and do photoreactive tests to confirm that the product is still functional, hasn't fallen off the surface. And we take, with the blue dye, we take a quarter or a dime, we stick it in direct sunlight. This is one of the demos that we do in the field. And within an hour, that tile is completely clean, but where you remove the coin, it stays blue. So that's one area that we can do, periodic testing with what we call a retained sample to make sure it's still photoreactive. And the third is, look, if you get odors coming back in a bathroom, it's most likely that you've tracked it off the floor. Like I talked to Patty at her school with her staff, they haven't reapplied in a year. Now we're in New England, and when we went in to visit with Patty about maybe a month ago, just before the holiday, we had gone into a room, and Patty, it looked like somebody went in there with a wheelbarrow of dirt and dumped it in the classroom, spread it all over the floor, right? And it was still holding up pretty well there. But if somebody were tracking that into a bathroom, that's like sandpaper. If you get odors coming back in a bathroom, your staff just reapplies our product. That's all they have to do. And it's very, very low cost when you're doing it yourselves. Give you an idea, 1 gallon of our product covers about 5,000.
Does this product prevent marks on walls and desktops?
Sean, you want to take that one? Talk about Mitchell College with the graffiti, with the organic ink that the student was vandalizing the school.
Oh, yeah.
Inorganics, no, it's not. But you could abrasively remove it, make it easier to get the material off the surface. But we're not really an anti-graffiti kind of a thing. But Sean can share one with you that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, so we applied at Mitchell College in the cafeteria area here in New London, Connecticut, and a student somehow broke into the building overnight and vandalized the entire building. The only place there wasn't any graffiti in the morning they noticed was the area that was treated with TiCoat. Everywhere else was treated. So they don't have any cameras in this building, but they thought, why would the student vandalize the whole entire building and not the area with TiCoat?
The only thing I can think of is that it was an organic dye. I don't remember what kind of pen was it. I think they figured out what they were using, right?
I forget what it was. Yeah, I'm not sure what he said, but
it stuck to everything but ours. So that was the point. What's the next question, Sean?
It is this a 2-part product?
It is. It's actually 3 parts, but we pre-mix. When we did Patty's school, we pre-mixed this. We have a primer product that's a base coat that attaches it. So we've developed an inorganic material. If you take titanium, anatase titanium crystals and try to stick it to a wall, when light hits it, it gets photoreactive. Like when I was a kid, I'm thinking of the pop rocks. They pop in your mouth and go crazy. They literally do that and fall off the surface. So we've developed an inorganic primer base coat. That's a 2-part system. You mix it together. It's a water-based product. You apply that, and then that's where the teams come through the rooms. We have a primer team that comes through and does that as the first step. And then these door cards that we put on the doors, it was a checkbox so that when they approach the door as a team member within the school footprint, They didn't even have to know where they were in the building because they were all color coded, and they'd say, oh, I'm red zone. I see that on the door. Primer's not been done. Primer crew come over. And so each step was done in sequential order. We didn't miss anything. So it went like clockwork. But yeah, that's an interesting one there for sure.
And it looks like that is it from, yeah, that's it.
Product hold up in the men's restroom, the men's restroom with the acid
Patty, you want to take that one?
Yeah, that was my biggest win. Originally, I thought if we could just fix these bathrooms, and I think probably men are more responsible than juvenile boys, and probably have better aim. And so we really had bathroom smells that would drift into the hallway. And so we have no bathroom smells in the hallway and no bathroom smells in the bathroom standing at the urinals. I walk in after hours, of course, but there are no smells, none. And so it's been almost a year, we're almost at our year anniversary, and no reapplication, nothing.
Okay, so the acid comes out of the body is not breaking that material down, because I do know that acid over time can put holes in cement. So what is in that product that's keeping that acid from not breaking it down? Because it breaks down cement, terrazzo. I've seen it do stuff to porcelain tiles. So what is in the product that's not breaking that down, that's keeping that from happening over
We're
time?
pH neutral, so those products like bleach are alkaline, and that's what breaks down things like cement. You know, if it's acidic, or if it's bleaches tend to be in the alkaline range. We're pH neutral. We're at pH in the range of about 6.4 to 6.5. So on a reference for you, milk is 6 and 6.7 is water, or 7 is water. So water is the baseline of what is considered to be base neutral. So our product doesn't react with surfaces when you apply it at all. It only reacts with organics, but it's like fire. Think of it like fire doesn't work without oxygen, right? We don't do anything without light. So if you have a room that you shut the light off permanently and you had odors in there, there's a chance they'll creep back, but as soon as you flip the light back on, our product will begin doing what it does.
Okay. Thank you.
There's nothing in the product that's pesticidal, let's put it that way, that we can point at. You know, today we market the product as a self-cleaning, odor eliminating product that works on inanimate objects. You can't. We're in the process of going through a certification process, but it's going to take us a couple of years to get through it, because there's nothing in the product that we can point at with the EPA that's pesticidal, that kills anything. So without light, it does absolutely nothing. Completely inert.
Acting almost like a UVA light.
Yeah, but we work with LED light.
Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, so that's a black light, but our product, because we were able to successfully bind copper oxide with it, copper is the other ingredient in our product with water. We bound that through a special chemical process that we've developed, that we have patents on, that binds the two together and allows it to be functional in LED light, because the LED lights in all of your schools, I assume most of you have converted over for energy savings, because that's been ongoing for a few years. There's no UV in it whatsoever. That's one of the main differences with our anatase titanium dioxide material versus competitive products that are out there. They only work outside in sunlight or with a fluorescent light, which generates a little bit of UV. Our product works with all light sources, including LED. So it can be used inside of a building. Oh yeah, plastic chairs, cloth chairs. We did the cloth chairs and the plastic backing and the I'm thinking of the auditorium areas there, the brick, carpets, all of it. So any other questions for us? Next steps, if anybody has questions, needs help, let us know. We're happy to conduct, we do free bathroom tests all the time with the product. So
Todd, I'd just like to add one thing. Patty did a good job talking about the ESSER funds and how she was able to allocate those. There was actually an article in the Wall Street Journal today that was talking about the amount of funds that are left out there specifically for schools. So, I would refer you to that article today. But basically what it said is at most, the highest utilizing states were, I think, California and New York, and they were at 32 to 30% usage of these funds. And these funds expire next year. So you've got a little bit of time left, but it's almost like when Todd was referring to the LED revolution, when the power utilities were giving those rebates. It's a similar situation. And, I know all schools are mindful of budgeting and things of that nature. So it's not only that you're, able to go to your, PTA groups and, the parents in general and say, we're removing toxics here responsibly, but also that you're able to offset those costs beyond the ROI difference that Patty alluded to in the out years. It's like I said, that money's just sitting out there. I give you an example. I think Florida was somewhere around $1.1 billion. Texas was over $1 billion. Even the smaller states were in the $300 to $500 million range. And, like I said, most of them are in the single digits as far as percentage of usage. So we definitely will do everything we can to help you facilitate that application process to make the situation much easier for you to move forward with TiCoat.
I got one more question here from Richard. It says some insecticides are organic materials. The answer, would we break that down? The answer is yes. Anything organic that touches our surface is broken down. Inorganics, again, things like dirt, which is inorganic, we have no effect on whatsoever. We have no effect on you. It's the small organics that touch the surface that get broken down. And like I said earlier, the more you throw at it, like a big, organic, bird dropping. One of the another example I have with one of my internal team, I give them material to test around their homes. And Ken Kusu's on the call today. He's got a walkway where he had a blueberry bush nearby, and the birds were dropping their droppings and staining the concrete. And the only way he could get it off was power washing and acid. And so he did his normal cleaning and then applied our product, and he has photos and videos of him going out. It's like watching sand get dispersed off of the surface with a hose. That's all he does to get it off the surface. So it makes the general cleaning, like Patty said, much easier, much lower cost if you're using water primarily as your general purpose cleaner in your school with our product on the surfaces. And that's really our goal. Our mantra is really, let's eliminate as many of these toxic cleaners as we can. The industry is huge. It's a challenge. And odors. The other thing I forgot to mention, Patty, was, you had shared with me some of the tests. I was trying to find the article with the federal government, but you had said at one point that odors were like the #1 reason that kids would have trouble learning if there were smells around them that they couldn't manage. So odor elimination is one of our strongest points. It's one of the areas where you get the most immediate impact to know that the product's doing what it does.
It's also an area that people don't always know that they're even sensitive to. So they may not even know they're having difficulty, or they're distracted or getting headaches because of the smells. So they may go away and not even understand why they're gone. So I just think the more fresh air that we can give our students, we get them outside, but if we can make that an environment inside as well, we're in better shape.
So let us know how we can help you.
My apologies to the group.
That's okay. It's an organic material. As long as it's organic, we have an effect on it. If it's inorganic, then the answer is no, we wouldn't have any effect on it whatsoever. In fact, I'll give you one example. We're working with a medical company right now that's looking to bring our product into the healthcare industry. They have a product that's ammonium quatride salt. So salt is an inorganic material. It leaves streaks. I was at my dentist's office and I saw the bottle sitting there, and I asked the nurse that was taking care of me, and she said, "Oh, we don't use that stuff anymore because it leaves yellow stains on everything. It breaks down the plastics." And that's the salts reacting because it's not pH neutral with those surfaces. We've even seen the same thing in the casino industry. We've got a partner we're working with right now out of Ohio that refurbishes slot machines, and the foggers they've been using break down the plasticides. We've seen a lot of high acidic foggers that have been a problem for many of these schools that we've been talking to as well. So most companies have moved away from using that altogether, but in the beginning, everybody was using it, trying to stay on top of it. And again, we're pH neutral, so we don't. So I appreciate everybody taking an hour to spend with us today. We really look forward to continuing conversations with you offline. Please feel free to reach out to my team and just let us know what you need from us. We're here. We are committed to the schools. We will work within the budgets you have available to you to try to make whatever you need happen.
100% safe to touch. TiCoat is changing the way the world cleans its surfaces. Please visit us at www.ticoat.com for more information.